later if you need to. But I just wanted to kind of hit some highlights generally of what PARB is, what state PARB is, and kind of the purpose and that sort of thing. And I have some notes that I could email out later. And again, if you want to follow up with me later, I mean, one of my main jobs is to support you as state PARB members. So, call. My email has my cell number on it. And if you can't reach me, Shelby is a wonderful addition to the team. She's only been here about 3 months and has really helped not only cover Oklahoma County, but kind of serve as my right hand helper in all things PARB. So just some quick background. So PARB was established back in 1981, so it's been around for a while. At the same time, there were other similar programs starting nationwide. And if don't know all your Oklahoma history, back in the early 80s, Oklahoma Children's Services were all over the national news because of the kids we had in state custody that we were abusing, neglecting, and otherwise losing track of. So that's one of the reasons why the Commission on Children and Youth, where PARB is housed, was established, but it's also what created PARB to kind of begin with. But like I said, there was Federal Child Abuse Prevention and Treatment Act that requires states to establish citizen review panels comprised of volunteer members who broadly represent the state. So that federal legislation was there. And so then our state legislature created PARB specifically that, and I can send you a link to all the statutes. It's in our manual as well. But just, some of the key points from our state legislation calls for independent, citizen-led foster care review program in every judicial district. And I'll show you the map later. We are not in all 26 districts. I think we're only in about 20 right now. There's 6 that we don't have anything, which is depressing, but we don't. And PARB must review the case of every adjudicated deprived child at least once every 6 months and submit their findings to the court. So those are our statutes. And so, again, about half of you serve on local boards. I'm going to cover a little bit more of what local boards do for those who are not familiar with it. But we pretty much, we have 44 local boards statewide. And about 300 volunteers statewide. So that's kind of our main focus of what we do. And then state PARB has really 2 main focuses. One is to oversee the program, kind of like a board of directors for a nonprofit, kind of, but not really. You give direction, but you're not like a nonprofit that can hire and fire. You're an advisory board. And then looking at the systemic issues as well, any issues related to child abuse and neglect, kids in custody, those are the main focuses of state PARB. So as far as the statute that we're supposed to be in all judicial districts, obviously we're not. We're doing the best we can. That's due to capacity issues. And, we need more volunteers and we need more staff, honestly, to help get out in those communities. And we also don't review every deprived case every 6 months in the state. We try to do that. And like Pittsburgh County, I think you guys do. Cleveland County, I know you don't. It's too big. Oklahoma County, they don't either. You hit probably about 2/3 of the cases. Latimer, LaFleur, they do that one. Garvin, McLean, and Garvin. McLean. Garvin and McLean. Yeah, okay. My county's all switched up. You guys do cover it. I think you do cover all those. So the smaller to medium counties do cover all the cases. Your Canadians, Cleveland's, those bigger counties, and Tulsa and Oklahoma do not. So for those of you who are, you're kind of hearing about the local boards for the first time, most of them meet monthly. Our statute says they have to meet a minimum of twice a year. We've got one, Veneta, that meets twice a year. We've got a couple like Love County that meet once a quarter. Most meet once a month, um, which I think is good. You also have to have a minimum of 5 members, and most of our boards have about 5 members. I think Cleveland County has more like 8 or so. Um, I think Christy, you guys have what, about 6 or 7?
We have 5.
You only have 5. Okay.
Yeah, but we have DHS coming, so I have Tribe coming also. So I don't count those.
Okay. Yeah, they have to be members to count them.
Yeah.
Yes. Um, so they meet to review the active child welfare cases, basically. So just again, for those that do this on a regular basis, I hate to be redundant, but for those that don't know what a local board looks like, so they take the upcoming judge's deprived docket, and so that docket is kids that are in child welfare custody, right? I mean, I think you're all at least foster parents. You understand that. Not kids that have had the initial child welfare investigation, but once they've gone before a judge and they've actually been adjudicated or judged to be deprived, and become in state custody or in care, as DHS calls it, until the point that they exit care for some reason, either age out, adoption, whatever. They're that's our jurisdiction. So and the judge's jurisdiction, so to speak. So any cases that are on that deprived or that juvenile docket is what the local boards review. Usually they start with the docket. I encourage boards to kind of thin out cases at that point. Maybe if they've been reviewed quite often within that 6 months, they don't need to review it, or for whatever reason, they don't really need to be reviewed. And then they usually meet in a courthouse, and they usually pull the case files and review the case files, have child welfare come and attend. Usually it's the same person or two that attend, like a supervisor level, sometimes the direct permanency plan level. They go over the cases, and then at that point they typically leave, and then the board makes recommendations, and those recommendations can be anything from we're concerned about visitation to the siblings. We're concerned that the siblings aren't going to be placed together. To have you thought about this mental health resource or this other resource? Have you used something else? To even validating, always encouraging boards to validate, good job. The individual service plan really addressed mom's drug problem, really articulated that well. So it's really an oversight capacity. You all from local boards, any other thing about your local meetings you want to share?
I have a good relationship with the tribe. I deal with 5 tribes. If they don't show up, they send me reports. They're really good about letting me know what's going on. And we have a communication open for any time that they're more than welcome to attend. Because in the past, there has not been collaborations or talks or anything like that.
Any other experiences?
Our two things. Our local board started this year. We have quarterly meetings where we get together and just discuss how things are going, things that we want to do better, reporting, just questions, those kinds of things. And then we have our once monthly meeting where we're actually reviewing the cases. And then as far as case review goes, the one issue that we are having in Muskogee County, and Keith, you and I need to get together on this at some point, is our local CASA office is not responsive or cooperative with providing us with reports, despite my having asked a couple of different times for reports, and then having asked a couple of different times for meetings to have a conversation about a cooperative relationship so that we can get CASA reports. I mean, of course, they're in the court file already, But if we could get them ahead of time, like when I ask for them, and that would be great as far as my PARB members getting to review those without having to dig through the court file to find them.
Carrie, we on our Cleveland County board, we have a board member that is also a CASA employee. So if you want to reach out to her and ask her to help communicate via both as a PARB member and as a CASA employee, that might be helpful. Her name's Lisa Thomas.
Yeah. Well, I was a previous CASA before, and also I'm actually a licensed attorney. And when I was in regular practice, I prosecuted these cases. So I'm not real sure what the problem is. Because I have routine contact with the director of our local CASA for all kinds of things, and because we partner with them as far as the services that RISE provides in the community. So I'm not real sure what's going on there, but it's an ongoing issue that was, like I said, needed Keith to see if maybe you could help with that.
Yeah, I'll certainly do whatever I can. Yeah, sorry you're having that frustration. And you guys would certainly, when I first started, I was told every PARB is, board is completely different. And I didn't totally believe that, but they really are. Some have great relationships with tribes. Some have no relationships with tribes. Some have the judge come in and bring them donuts and chat with them. And some have a really difficult time getting the judge's attention. It goes across the board. But you'll see at our September meeting, we're kind of working on a draft credentialing process, and we're getting ready to roll out, and maybe that might help with some of those, at least identify areas where we're not consistent. Now, our statutes are pretty vague. The point is to review the cases, right? So some of the particulars are just going to be unique to the county, and I think they should be. But for those that aren't serving on a local board, you are more than welcome to, I can connect you with a local board to attend when you can, to just get a sense of it. And as of November 1, we will no longer be under the Open Meetings Act, which means you could participate virtually. So I would definitely encourage you to do that when you can, just because the local PARB meetings and the case reviews, that's our bread and butter. That's 90% of what we do. Even if, you're on state PARB and not on a local PARB. And then I forgot the critical piece too. So once those reviews are done, they enter them into our new database that rolled out about 3 years ago. And then the recommendations are printed or somehow uploaded. It's different in every county, and then submitted to the court. So the judge gets a copy. All the child welfare staff get a copy, and then any attorneys or anybody a party to the case. If you really think, what's the purpose of PARB? Kind of our mission is we're volunteers supporting, protecting, and monitoring the deprived court system. So see, I've got it on my wall behind me. Support, protect, and monitor is kind of our thing. Support, and Carrie and JJ and you all, Christy, can attest to this, Liz. You get to know a relationship with those child welfare workers, and sometimes you can, you help almost train them. I've heard that somewhat true with judges as well. Sometimes you'll get a new judge, and you'll help guide them. Sometimes the most stable and well-trained group of folks in a county is the PARB. Not always the case, obviously, but I think what PARB does goes beyond just a recommendation. It's a relationship. So you make a suggestion, maybe that worker doesn't implement it that time, or maybe the judge doesn't like your recommendation, but that worker may go away with that idea and learn something new. You're kind of supporting the whole system, not just that individual case. Obviously, that individual case is important as well. And I should mention as well, members are also welcome to attend court at the discretion of the judge. and often they do. Is anybody, that was a fairly quick overview of what the local boards do. Is anybody that's not a local PARB member have any questions about that?
How does, because I'm not a local PARB member, talk to me a little bit, maybe, and maybe Carrie, you're kind of hitting on this, the kind of interplay between the CASA and the PARB. Obviously, that CASA worker is way more involved in that particular case, right?
Right. So, certainly with the kids too, right? Being the quote unquote child's voice in court, they're um, very involved with the kids that are on the cases and making recommendations to the courts with regards very specifically to the kids. And so, that's why for me, it's super important to be able to have a relationship and getting those reports from CASA and knowing because, when you're reviewing the cases and, you've got DHS that comes or the supervisor, or you get the DHS reports, if you're getting their reports from their perspective and DHS's from their angle. And, not that they're not doing their job or those kinds of things, but I mean, it's going to be DHS reports are going to be DHS centric and they're going to show that DHS did all of these things. And then the CASA report is important because, like I said, they're going to have gone. I know certainly when I was a CASA, I visited not only with the kids, but I visited with their parents. And so they're going to have spoken to the folks in the case from a completely different angle than the DHS caseworker is going to have talked to them, right? All of those kinds of things. So that CASA piece is really important, I think, and why, like I said, it's so frustrating that there's such a struggle in my county right now to have that cooperation from CASA because the work that they do is vital to the case. And again, having prosecuted these cases, I know the judges are also very interested a lot of times in hearing what the CASA has to say and take into account a lot of CASA recommendations. And so it's important for PARB at the county level when we're making recommendations that we get to see and understand all of the parts that are playing there so that the recommendations we are making are educated and make sense and are the best for the kids and for the families.
Yeah, just to add to that, our statutes say that as PARB members can read anything and talk to anybody about a case for the purposes of writing the recommendation. What we typically do, though, is usually have the case file, maybe a separate report from child welfare, usually talk to the permanency planning worker for child welfare. Occasionally, you'll have CASA attend a meeting. That's typically it. I've been trying for the last 5 years to try to get foster parent reports. There's a resource parent report that you can submit to the judge. I'd love for the PARBs to be able to have a chance to read those, or even come and have foster parents come and present their case.
That's what I was going to say. Like in our county, we've had several foster parents write a report, and we've even had some attend in the past. And the other thing I would say about the importance of CASA, like Carrie was saying, is on the CASA report, it explains or it states how many contacts they've had with each individual. So you can see, well, they've met with the therapist twice, or they've spoken with the therapist, and it really goes into detail all the members of the case that they've dealt with, whereas a DHS report doesn't have that entity in it. So it is a vital information for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I hope you all that aren't part of a local board have a little bit of a sense of what goes on there, and you can certainly attend those. Just maybe coordinate with me on that. And we can go from there. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. Does everybody see like the map? Okay.
Keith, is there a standard, since we serve at state, to maybe go observe different regions or different districts of PARB? Is there a statute that states that or a requirement for that?
I'm not sure I understand that as a state PARB member, you can attend other meetings. Yes, I'm not sure I understand the question.
Is there anywhere that stipulates that at state should we go visit other districts? Has that ever been done before? Because I feel like that would bring such an understanding, being able
Oh,
to
you
go
mean
out-
like one board visit another board?
No, like as a state PARB member,
Yeah,
are
finally
we
track.
required to go to other local PARBs to just see how that's done?
There was no requirement. I'll arrange the field trips. That would be great. I think you'd learn a lot, you know. And I'll show you the map, and I've got a list of the chairs and things too. So you can certainly reach out individually if you wanted to. But let me give you a little bit of the scope. Our members kind of fluctuate between, like in 2021, we had 287 members. This last year, we had about 300. I think we're up a little bit right now. We've had in years past 42 boards, 42, 44. It seems like we're kind of at a low right now. Case reviews, this is interesting. So in 2023, we reviewed total for the state 2,544 cases. And I think if you look at, I was looking the other day at child welfare data, and I think they have about a total of 5,000 or so cases. So we're hitting at about half of the cases right now. And of course, you know, like I know in like Pittsburgh County, you're hitting all the cases, but in some counties, we're not hitting any. And in the urban areas, we're certainly not hitting them all. Volunteer hours, you're probably familiar with my nagging emails asking for your volunteer hours. We submit those every quarter, and that turns into actually federal 4E money for our program. And it's good to track the volunteer hours as well. So this last calendar year, we had 7,087 total volunteer hours. Again, just kind of on scope. Budget, our entire budget is $229,000. Most of that salaries. That is me full-time as a program manager, Shelby full-time as Oklahoma County coordinator, and then we have a part-time contract employee, Milena, who covers Tulsa County. We have a contract with the Tulsa County Juvenile Bureau, and which is a great contract. I don't know what we would be without it, because right now the legislature has given us 2 positions. So we're at least able to, without a big fight, had the extra half FTE. Though you won't see her much because hers is very specific to Tulsa and she doesn't get paid for travel or anything else. So I've tried to just let her focus on Tulsa. And then we also do an annual conference. We pay for any volunteers registration that wants to attend, any active volunteer that wants to attend, we pay for the registration, and we pay for their travel and hotel if they fit the state's rules for distance, and even per diem for that. So that's kind of a perk we try to do. We've been partnering with the Center on Child Abuse and Neglect for the last 2 years. We're going to do it again next year. It really allows us a lot more bang for the buck because they have an annual conference, and then our conference is a 1 day. It's really kind of technically a pre-institute, but it's a 1 day for all of us to get together as PARB members. We do training. We do the judges panel. We had a parents panel last year. I think we're going to have, I'm trying to remember what it is. I think it's a foster parent panel this year. I forgot. We've had so many notes. I can't remember what we settled on, but we're going to have another panel this coming spring. We usually do it. Well, it's going to be in April. I don't have the exact dates yet, but it'll be during Child Abuse and Neglect month because that's when CCAN is. But I wanted to give you kind of a, for those who don't know, kind of how big or how little PARB is. We also do new member training once a month for our new members that register. And then we occasionally do others. No, Milena does some occasionally. She just did one on infant mental health, I believe, or she has one scheduled. And then Shelby, I know you're working on one. Um, just for you all that don't know, the Tulsa County boards and the Oklahoma County boards are completely different. Um, can you describe real briefly, Shelby, the process you do for Oklahoma County?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so I think with a lot of the more rule boards, you'll like review a whole docket of cases that are going to be reviewed for that month. So you're kind of reviewing everything. In Oklahoma County, I am like kind of like the filter, I guess you could say. So I'm looking at all of the cases, like looking through them, and then I assign them to specific boards because in Oklahoma County, we just have such a high number of cases that we cannot, between our 7 boards, review all of them. So I'm going to pick the ones that maybe are having a hard time reaching permanency, or if it's our mental health board, I might be looking for a kid that has gone inpatient and is just needing a review to get more services and stuff of that nature. So I'm looking more for those details, and then I assign them. And then once they're assigned, they're uploaded to a site where they can look at all of the documents, and they can make their recommendations from there after they have met with their board that month. Did that kind of explain it well? I know it's a specific niche sort of
Yeah,
situation.
yeah. Just
Okay.
so like, like Christy and Carrie, I think, and certainly Liz, you guys are looking at um, all the cases, the entire docket that I kind of described. Where in Oklahoma and Tulsa County has 4 boards. They've got um, an Indian child welfare focused board, a domestic violence and mental health focused board, a transition age youth. Actually, they have 5 boards now. Transition age youth focus board, and then 2 just kind of standard boards. And like Shelby mentioned earlier, she's got 7 boards, 4 that are specialty: mental health, transitions, Indian child welfare, and domestic violence. Whereas Christy and Liz, you guys do the whole gamut. And then JJ, I think in Cleveland County, you guys do some sort of filtering. You don't look at them all.
No, because we have that CASA staff as part of our board, if there are cases that are being reviewed by CASA, because we can't see them all, we count that as like an extra set of eyes. So we only review cases with CASAs when either CASA has a concern about it, or the social worker has a concern about it.
And y'all need to know too. I mean, for Oklahoma County, Shelby's a paid staff person that makes sure that the meeting announcements go out, follows up on quorum, does all of that detailed work that a chair would do. It's totally up to the volunteer chair, and so for Tulsa and Oklahoma County, they have a staff person that keeps things organized. Everywhere else, they don't. So you have to have a really good chair like Carrie or Christy. It's kind of a hybrid in Cleveland County because Lisa is paid by their contract, actually has a line in it that says that they will staff the PARB. I don't know who, I think maybe Judge Couch did that 30 years ago, but that's kind of a unique hybrid. But everywhere else is totally dependent on the volunteer chair to keep things organized. And as a result, you have higher functioning boards than others, clearly. Everybody here is a it's a highly functioning board, or I wouldn't have thrown your hat in the ring to be on state bar. But anyway, so I just wanted you to kind of understand that, especially, even the rule boards, I don't think you totally understand how the urban ones work, and the urban ones certainly don't know. Shouldn't say urban. Cleveland County is fairly urban. Here's our map. So this is can you see that okay? Still see the map? Okay. Make sure I'm not accidentally showing my email or something. So those little pie shapes are the 26 judicial districts. And where it's colored is where we have an active PARB. So if you look at the Panhandle, Cimarron, Texas, Beaver, Harper, nothing there. But you go down one, You've got a board. We've got two boards there, one that covers Beckham and Roger Mills and one that covers Custer. Nothing in the Southwest County. Nothing. Caddo Grady is not active. We do have one in Comanche. So that just kind of gives you a sense of, where we have coverage and where we don't. Our statutes say we're supposed to be by judicial district, but I really prefer to do it by county because, as you all know that work in your local counties, you meet at the courthouse because the case files can't leave the courthouse, right? Mm-hmm. So you're not going to, in Pushmataha County, for example, they're not reviewing McCurtain and Choctaw County cases. They're not. Some of them float, like Garvin McLean, they float. They meet one county 1 month and one the other. So they kind of cover two. Beckham and Roger Mills is the same way. But most are just focused on that county. So like Cleveland County, so you've got all three counties, or that district has all three covered because you've got a board that's doing Cleveland County and then one that's covering McLean and Garvin. Question here. Yes. So, and back to this. So just so you all know, if you haven't figured it out already, Melena's 100% focused on Tulsa County. Shelby has to make sure that her 7 boards have cases every month and that they're meeting and that they're meeting quorum and doing all that. When she has all that done, she lets me put her to work on other tasks, including she heads our outreach committee, which is fairly new, because I figure if we do better outreach, it's going to cover a lot of our other problems. She's been really helping partner and do training. It's going to, Melena also helps do the, not Shelby, but Melena also helps do new member training. So Shelby will be doing that more as well. And then my job is to support State PARB, obviously. And I do general training and technical assistance statewide. So, when Carrie was helping get Muskogee up and running, I was out doing training with their group and helping try to get things organized. And then I typically walk away at that point, especially if they're rocking and rolling like Carrie. I try to see every board once a year. Maybe with this new credentialing process, I will. But anyway. And then I'm always trying to work on our state level partnerships as well. Any questions on the local boards functioning or where they're at or anything like that? All right, I will move on. So State PARB, which is why you're here. So that's also established in statute. We have 23 members right now. I think we only have one vacancy right now. So I think we're still at 24 when we're at full. 2 of those are agency representatives. We've got Daniel Herring, who's an assistant child welfare director. He's on our State PARB. He's a great resource. And Greg Delaney with the Office of Juvenile Affairs. They're permanent. That we reach out to their director, and then their director appoints the person. But everybody else is 100% governor appointee. Thrilled with having you guys. Enjoyed chatting with you, getting to know you. I think you're going to be a great part of it. But that's not something we have a whole lot of involvement in. We recommend people certainly, but it's up to the governor's office. We have 5 judges. So you'll meet them. I'll send out the membership list. I probably sent them in that huge email that had the gazillion attachments. I think our membership is in that email. 5 judges, 6 active PARB slots, and some foster care slots and stuff like that. Any questions on the membership? I've got 16 people that have RSVP'd yes already. So we're going to have quite a big meeting on September 27th. I know the October date threw some of you off. That's what's on our website. And that's what Chris Brill knew when he reached out to you guys. But we switched it because I have to go to my sister's wedding in Hawaii in October, to be honest. That's why I had to move the date. That's me. I hated to miss I could have maybe had Shelby help staff the meeting, but we have so many new members. I didn't want to miss your first meeting. So again, you have the bylaws and our manual. I'll make sure you get our manual that has some more specifics. But like I've already really covered, there's basically two functions of state PARB: oversee and support the program, and identify and address any systemic issues. And then we also make annual recommendations to the commission. Let me share that real quick. Shelby, let me know if I don't have the right document up. So just at our last meeting, does everybody see that? Annual recommendations? Okay, good. This is what we voted on back in May. So we want to change our name. Some people don't think PARB is the best way to attract new members, to Oklahoma Foster Care Review Boards. But that has to go before the legislature, then they have to vote it in. So I don't know when or if that's going to happen. So don't change your business card yet, but they voted to do that. Mental health access is an ongoing issue. Increased payments to foster parents, at least indexed to inflation, was identified as an issue. And that's kind of, take away the financial barriers to Oklahoma's promise. We're going to have an update on that in September meeting. The child welfare, or the governor put together a child welfare task force a year or so ago, and we had a couple of our members actually served on that. Judge Allen for one, and Sarah Harrion for another. And so we kind of looked to see if there's certain things from that report that we could really get behind. And one of them was improving the individual service plans. That's something we want to focus on. And I've been talking to, I'm going to show you a draft agenda as well. I've been talking to Megan Ruark with DHS, and she looks like she's going to be able to be on the agenda for the September meeting and talk about, they're doing some efforts to improve the ISPs. If there's ways that we can help partner with them better. So this is a draft, so don't take this to the bank, but this is kind of the draft agenda that I've been working on. Pretty typical. Welcome, introduction. We actually have 8 new members. Approval of minutes, identifying our meeting dates for 2025. We're going to be, and I'll send an email out on this for nominations, but we need to renew or update. State PARB has a appointed person on the State Child Death Review Board, so we need to solidify that. Cindy Nocton from Comanche County is serving in that role right now. I'm going to go over this proposed credentialing process. And I didn't mention it much, but of course, if you're there at the September meeting, you'll get an overview. But we've been partnering with the University of Oklahoma evaluation team for several years. And they've done several reports for us. And they also created the database for us that we currently use for our recommendations. We also have a representative, Dr. Kurth from Weatherford. She is our appointee to the commission. So she does a report. I always do a report. So our chair right now is Deanna Chancellor from LaFleur County, former chair of that board. But she's not going to be able to make this meeting. Sarah Harrian's our vice chair, and if you don't know her, she's the director, CEO of the Foster Care and Adoptive Association, which is a critical partner. Shelby and I are going out to Enid to say hello to her on Thursday. See if there's anything else I want to ramble on real quick. Your role, and I want to hear what you guys think about this too. What do you want it to be? I mean, you guys are active professional movers and shakers. I mean, like anything in life, you can make it what you want to be. Certainly attending the meetings. If you can't, that's okay. Let me know so I know about quorum. Ways you can support the program. Like one of you has already done, help me figure out how to expand in other counties. any ideas for change, any feedback? Um, you know, I just kind of made a list as I was preparing this, kind of what's our biggest need. Obviously, our biggest need is members, outreach, and recruitment. State coverage, we're a long ways from that. Buy-in from judges. It's been real frustrating lately. It seems like we've had some judges that clearly don't want a post adjudication review board in their county, and that's kind of challenging. It's hard to be in a county if they don't want us there. So I'll stop talking at this point. What do you guys want to know or want to talk about?
Well, I just want to say, as a former child welfare worker for the state, 7 counties, every county is different. And that's the same thing as PARB. Like you said, judges, Judge Bear is amazing. She has actually a kids court. She does the day before her adjudication deprived court. She meets with the kids separately. She has that, and she actually tells us that in court what they talk about, so it's all out and open, and she's very transparent, and so that's really good. But every county is different. Even working in child welfare, they're supposed to meet them. State law says that they're supposed to see them once a month, sometimes twice a month, depending on, you've got they were sued 15 years ago, the Pinnacle plan. So they changed their stuff. And so they say that they can't see their kids. Well, at my time, I saw 96 kids in a month. I did it. And I still have my reports done. So they have 15 kids, not cases, kids. So they need to understand every county is supposed to have that on that aspect. So just kind of think of that too. State statute says for them to do this, and why are they not seeing their kids? You're seeing a report, and maybe 3 weeks later. That's why it's so important to have child welfare supervisors there to know, hey, they have this, and something happened in that 2 weeks, before we go to court. We always meet the Monday before our Thursday court, and we have to have our report in to the judge by Tuesday. And all the reports come to us a week in advance. That's how our court system is set up. Just to give an idea.
Yeah, it's good to know. Any other thoughts, questions? Does everybody know where they're going? We'll meet at the OCCY office, which is like at 29th and Classen. So just north of the Gold Dome and the Gold Tower on Classen, on the west side of the street, 3rd floor. Shara, I said that in my email, but Shara is our support staff. And you certainly, you're far enough away, like Muskogee, McAllister. You can, we can provide you a hotel room if you want one, and certainly pay for your travel. That's part of it. And Shara can coordinate that and answer questions. I guess the new OMES reimbursement system, you have to log on yourself, and it's apparently quite the nightmare. Sorry, nothing I can do about it. But at least she can get you to the right website and get you to sign up there. Again, my job is to support you. So if something comes up, text, email, whatever.
I have a question.
Yeah.
And this has probably been sent, and I'm still in the beginning of school teacher fog brain. How do we know? Have you sent a schedule of all the meetings?
Well, there's only one left this year. We only meet 3 times a year.
Okay.
September 27th at 10 a.m. is the next meeting, and
Okay.
at that meeting, we'll be setting the meeting dates for the the rest of the year. I'll go ahead and send you guys a draft so you can think about it ahead of time, especially Amber, since you're, we've got school. Because my proposed dates do not have to be the dates. So I'll send out the draft dates and you can be looking at your calendars.
Okay. And what was the name of the building that we're going to meet again? You said it's 29th and Classen, but
I don't know that the building has a name. It's a yellow brick building on the west side of the road.
oh, okay. Okay.
If you look up Oklahoma Commission on Children and Youth, like on Google, the address will come up and you can just, yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, parking back. There's not really any parking in
Yes.
front. All the parking's in back, and then you enter through the back.
Yeah, I don't think it has a name. I don't think the building has a name. So
Big, ugly yellow building?
yeah, pretty much.
Keith, I have a question.
Yeah.
Do we ever review cases that maybe a local PARB is struggling with or doesn't really know what direction to go regarding the review or the case? Is that something that we do as a state PARB?
We've not done it in my 6 years. I would think maybe a subcommittee might do that. We can put together any kind of a subcommittee we want. If we wanted to put a smaller group that would review cases or help strategize. But I know people in my staff role, if there's a legal issue we can bring in resources to help you bump up a case to the next level if you need that. Anybody else? All right. Well, I'll send you the map, and I don't think we do have a kind of a manual, a PARB volunteer manual that I'll send out. It's kind of more of a reference document. You can read it cover to cover, but I wouldn't suggest it. And what else? Oh, our membership. I haven't done that already. That's all I can think of. So what you guys are do, for those of you who are working with PARB locally, and then I know what you guys do outside of this too is pretty amazing. And then serving on state PARB is real important. We really need you. We do a lot of good work. We looked at Kentucky one time a few months ago. They have 18 staff, and we review about the same number of cases that they do. We're basically just 100% volunteer driven. I mean, if we didn't have hardworking volunteers, we just would be dead in the water. What other states pay staff to do, you guys are doing. And I really need you on state PARB to help with direction and help address these issues too. So I'm glad you're there. All right. Well, if you don't have anything else, I will let you go. Thanks for being part of this, and reach out anytime.